150 years ago, people were growing their own food. They were hunting. They were throwing bales of hay around. They were chasing cattle on horses. They were doing hard work from sunrise to sunset. Today, people spend 3 hours a day in front of their TVs. They spend 4 hours in front of their phones, looking at their phones, and they're averaging an hour in their car driving to and from work. They work in an office. So that's 8 hours sitting in front of a computer. There's no time for exercise, folks. That's what we call stagnation, and we're going to do something about it right after this. Welcome, everybody. I'm Scott Paton, your host. This is the Life Enthusiast Online Radio and TV Network, restoring vitality to you and your family and the planet and everybody around you. And over here, wrong finger, is health coach Martin Pytela. Hey, Martin, how are you doing today?
It's a good day, Scott. I've already been on my rebounder. I do my routine. Let me just tell you, right? So I'm now 71. My 72nd is coming up in a month. And I force myself, right? So I work out on a rebounder. I do the equivalent of a run that's 100 meters, running. I do bounces and whatnot, right? It's just bouncing. But rebounders are awesome because they help you with circulation. Walking is great. Rebounders are like twice as much bounce as walking. And then I do some physical, like I move my arms and I do push-ups and stuff like that.
Cool. Good for you.
So I'm just saying, it's not that I'm loving it. I know that if I don't, I'll suffer.
Yeah, there's a consequence to our actions or inaction, right? But before we get into I guess we're going to get into the consequences. Why is it important that we not stagnate? Like, why can't we just sort of lay around? I mean, you look at lions and cats and dogs, they spend all day pretty much just laying around doing nothing. Like, why can't we do the same thing?
They only appear to be doing nothing. They're digesting. They're digesting their previous kill. When they are hungry, they work hard, and they don't kill every day. So they work hard for it. Well, let me explain it this way. There was a lovely experiment done in Arizona. It was called the biosphere, and it's a huge dome, I think 2 acres in size, and very tall, and they created a enclosed environment in there. They wanted to isolate or separate it, sort of like an aquarium, but it was a biosphere. And they planted trees. And after a few years, the trees grew big, and then they flopped over, just fell over under their own weight. Turns out that trees get exercised by wind. And so once they figured that out, they put fans that actually circulate the air inside of the enclosure. The trees now are being trained against resistance and no longer fall over. So that's the tree model. Now the human model.
That's really interesting, because where I lived in Coquitlam, British Columbia, we had a storm one year, and the news basically said, you might think we had a relatively easy storm, and you might be confused as to why there's so much destruction in our forests. And they said, usually the wind comes from, I don't know, let's say the north, but this came from the south. So the trees are always used to pushing one way, and all of a sudden it was going the other way, and they didn't have the strength. And I thought, that's amazing. But yeah, so
right.
I heard what you talked about. That's really pretty incredible.
Right. So the other way is this: muscles. Your muscle mass is really important because it is the storage of your energy. The muscle is your internal battery. It stores the Glucose? Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
there's a limited amount of glucose that can be stored. A bit of it is stored in your liver, and the rest of it is stored in your muscles. And it's probably about 1,500 calories, about 2/3 of a day. The rest has to be made on demand. And you can make it, if you're not eating, you'll be making it from your storage, from your fat. But if you're eating, then of course it's on demand. The point being, if you have less muscle mass, you have less energy storage, and you'll be constantly tired, or you will have a very short amount of power. It's as if your gas tank were really tiny.
Right.
So how do you develop a muscle? Only against resistance. You have to take an object and lift it against gravity. You have to move things. You cannot develop muscle just by thinking. And the other thing, of course, the muscle attachment is attached to your bone. And that, when you're activating the muscle, is stressing the bone. And that's where calcium gets deposited in response to the stressing of the spot.
So your bones are kind of like trees. They get the wind pushing, they get that push, and then they get stronger and stronger.
Yeah,
So
you're totally saying it right. So then the next thing that's really important in this conversation is this: lymph. All the extracellular fluid does not have its own pump. The heart
right.
is a pump that squishes itself and pushes blood into circulation. And even the vessels, the arteries, have they're smooth muscle, and they actually work like this. They have this sort of a wave going along, pushing the blood along the way. So that's all pumping the blood where it needs to go. But there is no
Right.
such device or system for your extracellular fluid.
Yeah, because we have more fluid in us than just the blood. And we
Oh,
need
yeah.
to get that
You have
moving.
You have about a gallon, 5 liters of blood, and you have about 2 or 3 times as much of the extracellular fluids.
So we need to move in order to get those fluids working, because they are also a way that we detox, right?
Yeah. Okay, so the blood does not directly touch a cell. The blood unloads into the extracellular fluid, the lymph, its nutrients, and takes on toxins. So the blood carries the toxins to your liver or to your kidneys for processing. And the nutrients are coming in from the gut through the liver toward all the cells, but it's handed off into the fluids. Think of it like a little aquarium, if you will. In this model, the fish would be your cell. And the cell takes the food from the aquarium. It just floats around and the fish grabs it, the cell grabs it like that. And then the metabolites, whatever's left over, that's like the fish pooping back into the water. So if you're not circulating this, if you don't have a decent pump in your aquarium, you will very soon end up with very putrid, stagnant, decaying aquarium. The fish will be floating upside down in no time.
Right. So we need to move.
Yes.
And we're not moving. We have a society of people that sit around. And every once in a while, I see photographs of beaches in the 1970s, and I see beside a picture of a beach like last week, and it's horrendous, the difference.
Well,
And
yes, the rate of obesity, especially in America, has reached like 50% of people are now in morbidly obese. 70% are overweight. So
right.
it's just dramatic.
And so you need to look at what you're putting in your mouth, but today we're talking about movement. And if you're not moving, you're not getting the toxins out, and the body uses fat in areas where there's not a lot of blood flow and everything else to protect you from those toxins. And the other part of it is just getting exercise.
Yeah. Speaking of food and farming and exercise, I'm thinking of people who invented pizza, were Italian farmers, and they invented it because they needed to pound in something like 5,000 calories into their bodies because they worked damned hard in those fields, whether they were threshing the wheat or plowing or God knows what they were doing, but it was hard physical labor.
Right.
And so for that, they invented pizza because it's super concentrated way of getting a lot of calories into the body fast. We get to thank them for that.
Well, as you know, I spent some time in Colombia, and I went out into the countryside to a small pueblo, and it was lunchtime. So we went to there was only local restaurants. It was really nice. And they brought a huge plate, and it had sausages and beans and rice and a couple other types of meat. And I mean, it was like, there was just no way one person could eat it. And I was like, your story about the pizza reminded me of it, because these are people that are walking up very, very steep hills to get their cows, to bring their cows home. They get the main crop was, I think, coffee. So I mean, they're working. It's not flat anywhere, So they're always going up and down hills, and they've got these massive bags on their back that they're carrying up and down these hills.
Yeah.
So when they sit down for lunch, they need a ton of energy.
Yeah, they're easily putting out several thousand, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 calories a day.
Yep.
Yeah,
and they need that energy.
Yep.
And there's me, like, what have I ordered?
That's right. I'm a typist.
That's right. My fingers get a lot of exercise.
Oh, man.
Not much else. So I guess the next question is, if we've convinced you, like, you need to stop being stagnant, you need to move, you need to get around. We've talked about walking and rebounders and everything else. But what are some strategies that people can put in place in order to not be so stagnant? And I think the reason I want to bring this up is I think there's things that we can do, and we just have to, first of all, decide to do it, but also work on a support system that will help us do it, right? Like, yes. Everybody knows January 1st, my New Year's resolution, lose 20 pounds and go to the gym. And I go to the gym for a week and that's it for the year, right? But that's because there's no support system. So, one thing is, if you decide to do something, try to do it with a group or with a friend. Like, I remember one of my buddies and I, we were walking by a hot yoga studio, and he turned to me and he said, "Have you ever tried hot yoga?" And I go, "No." And he says, "Me neither. Let's do it." So the next day we went to hot yoga, and we realized very quickly that it was the most difficult hour and a half we'd ever spent. Just kicked us like nothing.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, "I need to do this more." And I said, "Yeah, me too." And so every day, 5 times a week for the next 3 months, he would show up at my doorstep and we would go together. So there was no way I wasn't going to go when he came to the door. Right. And then once he moved out of town to another place, I had that 3 months of habits built up, and I just continued to go. And so for 6 years, 3 to 4 times a week, I went to hot yoga. Probably not June, July, and August, because I would be out walking, hiking, biking, and that sort of thing. But basically fall, winter, and spring, that's what I did. And it was amazing the shape that I was in. And to give you an idea, I was visiting a friend of mine, and she has a 10-year-old daughter. And for some reason, the daughter had learned planking or something. And we don't really do anything like planking, I don't think, in hot yoga. But she got down, and she's 10 years old. And after like 10 seconds, she was like, "Oh, I'm tired." And she just like collapsed on, the 3 inches onto the floor. So then her mom said, "Oh, that can't be that hard." And then she did it. And after about 10, 15 seconds, she collapsed. And I says, "Come on, you guys." And I did the plank, and I held it for probably 35, 40 seconds. And then the daughter said, "Well, that's not right." And she sat on my back. So now I've got the daughter on my back, and I'm holding it for another 30 seconds. And the mom is going, well, that can't be right. And so she sits on, so I have the mom and the daughter sitting on my back as I'm planking. And it was easy because a lot of the exercises in hot yoga delve with the core, right?
Yeah, core strength.
And I've been doing it for a long time. So I think the trick is to figure out what you like to do and then figure out a strategy, which by that I mean the chances are you cannot do it yourself. Like I never would have gone to hot yoga for 6 years if my friend hadn't gone with me and developed that habit, right?
Yep.
So you find somebody that likes doing what you're doing. And
well, let me share a little personal vignette on this one, which is this. I decided that I needed to do push-ups. So I tried to do it, and I had a hard time doing one. I thought, oh my God, have I ever let myself go? So the easiest way to do a push-up is with stairs. So I started using 3 or 4 stairs as an incline. So instead of being flat and full gravity, you at an incline with lesser push. So I first did 5 on 4 stairs, then I pushed it to 10, then I pushed it to 20, then I went to 3rd stair, 2nd stair, 1st stair, finally flat. So these days I actually can do 20 push-ups straight up, which is the standard military punishment. Give me 20. Turns
good for you.
out, indeed good for me, 71-year-old. But I tell you this, today, 77% of eligible by age young men in America cannot pass the military intake test. That is
which is 20 push-ups. Yeah.
That's one of those things, yeah.
This
is frightening. Who's going to defend us when they come for us?
Yeah. Good question. They're probably relying on drones and little robots to run around and do it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You can run the robots and drones with a video controller.
So we made a short list, and I don't know how much we need to talk about it, but the first thing is finding something that you like to do. Maybe you like to curl, or you like to skate, or you like to ride a bike, or if there's anything you like to do, that's where you start. But if you don't have any idea, one of the things that I think is probably it's the top of my list is go to dance classes. It's a social thing. Usually there's a lot of, like, salsa dancing. There's 20 people, 9 guys and 11 women, and then they all get in a circle and they change partners and you all learn. And by the time you're going, by the time you're getting good at it, you're getting really, really fit at it. I mean, it's a really good social exercise, gets you out and about. Another one would be like joining a hiking club. So there's lots of groups that will go hike in the mountains, on a Sunday morning or something like that. I found when I was young, like I'm talking 16-ish, I took yoga. And yoga was really interesting because it was Saturday morning. My mom said, it's summertime, you got to do something. Here's a book for the community center, pick something. And I looked through it and I picked yoga. And it was Saturday morning. So I'd have to walk 2 miles to the gym, and then I'd get beat up. And the worst part of it wasn't actually getting beat up. It was before we started, we had to do like 20 push-ups, and we had to do like 50 sit-ups, and we had to do squats. And so if you did nothing throughout the week, on Sunday, it was hell. And Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday was hell too, because you were sore. So I quickly learned that I had to do these exercises throughout the whole week. So I had a whole summer of doing all of these, and it was like you're in a gym and there's no equipment. It's like you do push-ups, you do sit-ups, you do this, you do that.
Just body weight.
You stretch, and away you go. So, take up a martial art if you want, because after a few times of someone throwing you, after a few times of a 10-year-old throwing you all over the place, you'll start exercising more. And the one that I do all the time is stairs and walking. So I'm on the third, it's the third floor. There's 2 sets of stairs and there's an elevator. I walk up and down the stairs every time, right? So 3 or 4 times I'm going up and down the stairs. I lived in a place that I was on the 9th floor. And so I would walk down 9 flights and walk up 9 flights. And after about a month and a half, I was almost running up the stairs. I was so surprised at how quickly that exercise really, really helped me. And if you drive to the grocery store, park far away from the entrance and do that walk. So I think we can make things that are not like disruptive to our lifestyle, but add to our fitness. And if you've got kids, take them to the park and walk to the park and run around with them.
Yeah, don't sit on the bench.
Don't sit on the bench, right? And then the last one on the list was rebounding, which you already talked about. And I think that's a really, really good exercise.
Finally, something where we can actually sell you something and make $1.
That's right. That's right.
We can sell you. We sell both the spring-based Cellerciser or the bungee cord-based jump sport, and they have their pros and the cons. The bungee cord-based jump sport is quiet. Springs will always squeak. They always go, whereas the bungee cords are quiet. And the bungee cords are softer, so if you're not a hard body, you will probably enjoy the jump sport a little better. On the other hand, Cellerciser will give you more pushback, more resistance, which means that you will develop more strength doing it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So are there any exercises you do on them aside from just like bouncing up and down?
Oh, yeah. Gosh, yeah. I actually use weights. I have small weights. I use 3-pounders, and I will just do positioning, right? So if I put my arms in front of me, that's a curl. If I raise them up, that's like climbing every possible angle. I do boxing with a 3-pound weight while bouncing. So there's a whole lot of movement and exercise involved with that. And of course, you can do the twist where you twist your shoulders in one direction and your ankles in the other, back and forth. So that will exercise your core. What else can I think of? Well, that's about it, really. You can do a sit-down bounce where you're really pushing your abdominals. Yeah.
We had a comment from Deanna. I'm 82. I want to get this.
And what is this, Deanna? Is it?
It's got to be your your rebounder, because it was. She just posted it now, and we just talked about it.
It's the rebounder. Thanks, Deanna. Thanks for hanging out. I met Deanna easily 16, 18 years ago, I think. Well, maybe not that bad much. I think she was 62. Yeah, 20 years maybe. Oh, my Lord.
Wow. So we have put the cellulizer in the comments. You should be able to just go down, scroll down and see it. And I think we have one other that we're talking about too today.
I'll find the jump sport.
No, it's the, I can't even say that. Astaxanthin.
Astaxanthin? What are you trying to do there?
I don't know. When I did a search on rebounders, it was one of the products that came up.
Oh, I see. Okay, well, it's an antioxidant. It's great. It helps you with detoxification and anti-aging. It's one of those best things that you can do for yourself.
Does it also help with the oxygen in the blood, which would give you a little more energy?
Absolutely. Yeah. For sure.
Okay.
Because
like one of the things is if you've got low energy, you need to do some things to get your energy up, right? And exercises, and stagnation is going to help, but you definitely need to make sure that you're not drinking a lot of soft drinks and chips before you, and then expect to be able to go out and exercise well. You need to give your body good nutrition.
I tried to post a comment and it's not letting me post.
It did actually post. I see them.
Okay, I posted a jump sport.
Yeah, the Jump Sport 300.
Yep. Okay, that's the one that I have in my house.
And it's a bungee cord one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that idea of no noise.
Yes.
So we should tell everybody that we're going to be ending the show in about 4 minutes. Martin is a health coach, and if you want to talk to him about anything that's going on, you can go to this URL, and I'll put it into the comments, and have a free 15-minute consultation with Martin. And I'll tell you, it's well worth your time. On the whatever platform you're watching this right now, they love to censor, they love to ban, so we have to be careful what we talk about. Telegram is the only free speech platform that we're aware of where we can talk. And the cool thing about it is you can talk too. So you can ask us questions there. We're going to give you the uncensored version. That's t.me/life&co. And we get on for about an hour after this. So the whole idea is you get a chance to get to know us, and then head over to life&co on t.me. And get to ask whatever it is you really want to ask.
It's actually your free health coach session. Ask me anything.
Right. And we do have, I think, another comment. What zeolite to use to mix with Masterpiece? Oh, interesting question.
I personally would use the one called Zeo Health, and you can buy it either as Zeo Health Pure or Zeo Health AV. And the AV is in capsules, then the Pure is in powder.
And this is a real office with real sales going on.
And somebody's too busy to pick up a call. We have only 4 operators, but somebody just picked it up.
There you go. So don't forget to join us every Thursday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 11:30 Pacific, and we'll be here. And subscribe, and all that sort of good stuff. And Jane says, thank you.
Okay,
Thanks.
so I'm going to post the AV here in the comments.
All righty. And I need to put the health coach link, which I can't find. There it is, into the comments as well. So, Martin, any last words before we sign off?
Movement is absolutely required. Otherwise, you stagnate. And a best metaphor for stagnation is swamp. Swamp is a putrid thing. If your feet smell or if your groin smells, that's because there's stuff putrefying in there. It's lack of movement.
Right. So you got to clean the aquarium.
Yep. Now, if you're not able to do this, if you're really stuck for it, then maybe in the Ionic Foot Spa, like if you're disabled to the point where you are just unable to move, then you probably need the help. So the Ionic Foot Spa would be helpful.
Would be a good one, yeah. But yeah, I mean, if it's an extreme case, you have a stroke and you're paraplegic and all the rest of it, it's kind of a different story. But if you're halfway normal, then start, just moving. If you're sitting they say if you're an hour at the computer, get up and walk around for 10 or 15 minutes, right?
Yep.
Because they recognize that this is not really a good way to be.
All right, guys, I'm going to check out. and switch to the other platform. So I'm leaving.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll see you on Telegram. Bye for now.